Hello, everyone. Eddie here again, and today I want to talk about the union. So, at the time of this recording, a few days before Christmas, some of the Amazon employees are on strike. These are the drivers, I believe, as well as in certain cities, Starbucks employees are going on strike. And so I've been looking at the news a little bit and watching some of the discussions about it as to what the companies are saying. For example, I believe Starbucks is saying something to the fact that the union won't come back to the negotiating table, whereas Amazon is saying that it's not really impacting them, and that they are able to handle it. And I see sometimes that there's a little bit of animosity or hatred or just downright skepticism toward the union. And so I just wanted to share a story about the union that I had and why I believe that unions are a good thing. Of course, like any type of institution, there are some problems with it, but for the most part, its purpose, I believe, is really good. So I'm going to share a story. So I'm going to take you all the way back to my high school years. So around age 16, I got my first job. Actually, it was my second job, working for a grocery store called Jules. I started out as a service clerk, and so I actually was that was a nice way of saying I bagged groceries. So at any rate, they had me doing various things from, bagging groceries to managing the carts. And then there's something called overstock. So, for those of you who don't know, overstock is where, when people come up to the cash register, they have an item, they don't want that item, so they give it to the cashier as they don't want to buy it. And so the cashier would go ahead and put it in overstock. Overstock usually was a row of carts that they would just dump the stuff in. So then during the day, you would have people taking that stuff, putting it back on the shelves. The way it worked was that the overstock staff usually got off of work around midnight, and then you had the service clerks handling the rest of it before or after midnight. Usually it was supposed to be to 12:30 or so. So anyway, like I said, they were bouncing me around, having me do it. So then they had me do overstock. So I did the overstock the first time, and around 10 o'clock, I was told that I was supposed to work on overstock, get it done, so I can leave at 12:30. Well, 10 o'clock rolls around. I start working on overstock. I'm told, no, you got to come back and help bag groceries. And so I had to go bag groceries to 12, and then I had basically a half hour to work on overstock, and we're talking multiple carts. So the first time I did, I believe I didn't get out of there till about 1:30 or 2. I'm not sure. It was really late. So I was like, whoa. So I had a hard time getting to school the next morning because I was really tired. So I had to be at school at 6 a.m. So it rolls around again. And so the way the store worked is that if you were actually particularly good at doing something, or they found you reliable, they kind of stuck you on that. So they gave me overstock again. So again, I did it again, and then this time I got out around 1 a.m. And so I went and I talked to him, and I said, look, I can't be working this late. I have school in the morning. And they said, well, sorry, but this is the way that we have to do it. So I said, okay. So once again went and did it, and then this time I said, you know what, I'm just gonna talk to the union. So I went to my union rep and I said, is this right? I mean, I have school in the morning. And so the union rep said, well, at 10 o'clock, go to them and tell them I have to work on the overstock, because if I don't, I'm going to leave at 12:30 because I have school in the morning. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. Keep in mind now, I just want everyone to keep in mind, I'm 16 years old. Technically, I didn't know it at the time, but technically, I was breaking curfew, coming home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was really breaking curfew. So at 10 o'clock, I actually went to the person. I said, "Look," I said, "I can't stay late, so I have to work on this overstock. And so if you pull me off, I'm telling you, I'm going to leave at 12:30. Whatever gets done." And so the person behind the desk said, "Well, I understand, but it just really depends." And of course, as always, it was busy. So they kept me on till 12 o'clock. So I'm working feverishly. And then when 12:30 comes along, I go and I check out. And they're kind of like looking at me like, "You're not done." I was like, "Well, I got school in the morning, so I'm not sure what to tell you. I told you that I had to leave." So I leave. Of course, they put me on it again, and we go through the same thing again. So I tell them again, I say, "Hey, at 10 o'clock, I have to work on it. If I can't work on it, then I'm leaving at 12:30 no matter what." And so, of course, they kept me on from to 12 o'clock, bagging groceries again. So then at 12:30, when I go to leave, one of my fellow employees, high school student just like me, said, "No, you're not leaving me again with all this work." And he basically said to the effect that he was going to kick my A. And so I'm like looking at him, and you're going to learn about me is that I really don't like bullies. But I looked at him and I was like, "What?" And before I could even say anything else, the security guard walked right in front of me and said, "No, you're not. Get out of his way. If he wants to leave, he's going to leave." So the guy was just like looking at me crazy. And just the security guard let me go. So then the third time it happened, it was one of my friends who was working with me, and he stayed till 3 o'clock in the morning to do the work. And he was like, "Eddie, I was really trying to cover for you." So they got so enraged that he tried to cover for me, which I never asked him to do, that they wrote him up. So this is where it gets interesting. So the the next day that I come in and it's a normal shift, I'm not doing overstock. One of the supervisors, the floor supervisor, was asking me like, "Did you put the boxes away?" And I said, "The boxes away." I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. When you were doing overstock." I said, I really don't know what you're talking about." And I was walking off because I was leaving. And then he was like, "Well, I'm still talking to you." And I said, "Well, I have to go." And so I kept walking off. So then the next time I saw him, he said that if you ever walk away from me again, I will slap you in the face. And I looked at him. I said, "What?" I, I, I wasn't. I was beginning not to get comfortable, or I was getting uncomfortable with so many people being violent. And so I'm like, What are you talking about?" And he was like, "When I'm talking to you, you don't walk away because I'll slap you in the face." So I was like, "Okay, whatever, whatever." So then they had me working opening Saturday morning. So I remember I went in Saturday morning, had a headache, and so I went and bought some aspirin, took 2 aspirins, started working. And so the big boss, the store owner, called me into the office. And so he said, "What's going on?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What's going on?" I said, "What do you mean? Can you explain?" "Well, you're not, that I'm hearing that you're not doing the overstock." And I said, "Well, I have school in the morning, so I can't be up out to 1 or 2 o'clock at night and then have to be up at 6 a.m. at school." I said, "I can't do that." "Well, when you took this job, you were supposed to do this." I said, again, I said, "I understand that I have a job to do, but school is more important. I'm actually trying to get my education. This is something just to have a little money in my pocket. I'm trying to treat it seriously, but school trumps this. And so he says that, I just don't really like your attitude. And I said, well, what attitude do I have? I don't understand. He said, you know what, you can just clock out and go home. And so I said, but I thought you always needed people on Saturday because that was the busiest time. I don't need people who work like you. So I said, okay. So I packed up my stuff and I went home. And then this is a point of privilege. Mind you, I'm 16 years old. 16 years old. So I cried my eyeballs out because I couldn't understand why they were coming down on me and acting like that to me. And so I remember my father, like, what is wrong with you? He just came in the room, like, what is wrong with you? And I said, they sent me home. He said, why? He said, because he said he don't need people working like me. So then I heard my father actually go and call up to the store, and he says, I am Eddie. Eddie, I was about to say my name, but he's like senior, and he said, I want to know why my son is coming home late at night, and why he coming home now crying, because I really want to know. And I don't know what was said, but he was like, well, we're gonna take care of this. We're gonna discuss this. And so that's when my father told me, call the union, call the union, explain to them what happened, and then they said, you know what, we're gonna set up a meeting, and we're gonna work this through. So then I asked the union person, I said, can my father come? Because again, I'm 16 years old and everyone's an adult and I'm just a kid. So I was kind of felt a little bit out of my league. So, I wanted my father in my corner. So I remember the union rep said that will be fine. And so before we went and meet with him, the union rep told my father, he said, there are going to be times where you're going to want to say something. He's like, I'm just asking you, please don't say anything. Let me do it. I will handle it. And I assure you, I'm going to take good care of your son. So we get in the meeting and I tell everything. I tell everything from even the person saying that they were going to slap me. I remember the store owner was talking about, well, if that happens, you let me know. And the union rep says, no, if that happens, you let me know because, he should not be threatening you. And then they were told that you all know you're not supposed to be keeping somebody in high school past 12:30. Come on, you know you're not supposed to be doing that. So at the end of the day, the union really took care of it, but it's kind of funny how it worked because I was told that I had to be transferred to a different store. And when I asked why, because like all my friends and everything was like that, but they were like, they couldn't protect me anymore, meaning that they were afraid my tires were going to get slashed. And I was thinking for the life of me, who would slash my tires? That didn't make any sense to me. But they treated me so differently once the union got involved that it was no longer a hostile environment. And so when I think of the union, I kind of think I reminisce back to them when they really assist me. And that's really what the whole thing is. Like when you say collective bargaining, that means you have multiple people together as one bargaining on your behalf. A lot of things that people get done or our benefits is from the union. So when you see these big companies hating on the unions, because if it's just you, the individual person that they're treating wrong, I'm sorry, they'll just fire you. They could care less. They'll fire you because you're a troublemaker. But when you are intertwined with multiple people who stand up against you and that they have to go through a list of things, then it becomes somewhat difficult. So for those of you who thinking that the union is a bad thing or that they're in it for themselves, I really question why you think that way. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why, because even the people that I know dislike the union, time and time again, when something goes wrong, they go running to the union. People who don't even pay union dues go running to the union, and the census is, the union have to represent me anyway. You know why the union has to represent you anyway? It's because it's called union busting. The companies, they want the unions to represent you. And so if the union rep has to represent you who do not pay dues and represent the person who do pay dues, the consensus is that their resources are going to be stretched thinner because person A who needs the help is not paying. Person B who needs the help is paying, but you're supposed to help both of them. So that's union busting. So it's just like one of those little things where they try to kill unions. But again, you know, I'm gonna say do your own research. Don't take me at my word. Just think about all the things that happen, such as like the automotive when the unions negotiate the contracts earlier this year, and the companies that were not unionized, all of a sudden they raised their employees' salaries up. I mean, I'm just wondering why. It wasn't a coincidence because I truly don't believe they did it out of the goodness of their heart. But everyone benefits when the union does good for its members. So all I want to say is that I'm in solidarity with the Amazon workers and with the Starbucks workers because at the end of the day, you know, most people just want a fair living wage and some benefits. If you're going to do the job and you're going to try to do the best job, you should be able to get the best benefits that you can get. So, again, this is just my perception of it. Of course, you can have your own opinion, and I would love to hear it in the comments section. And once again, I just want to thank you for viewing this video. And if you continue to watch, I will continue to produce. Thank you.